Good afternoon, sports fans. Come on in, take a seat. Welcome to the Sports Tank with Mike the Squid. A brief edition of today's show. It is the 30th of December. We are almost to 2019. Holy shit. I'm going to do a quick show on my way to my baseball game today. I'm going to talk about what happened last night in the two college football playoff games and the national title game that was decided 13 months ago. Come on into the Sports Tank. See what finds out. It is, like I said at the beginning of the show, it is the 30th of December. We are 2 days away from the New Year's Six Bowls and the bowls that everyone wants to, these teams should be playing for the right to play for a national title. Wrong. The four best teams in college football played last night on two different fields with an opportunity to play for the national title. I'm not asking you to debate me with that. I'm not asking you your opinion. I'm telling you, based off of what was on the field, the four best teams, Alabama, Oklahoma, Notre Dame, and Clemson, were the four teams that should have went out and played for a national title. And they did. Yes, Clemson blew the doors off of Notre Dame, won by 27 points. But we're sitting here questioning Notre Dame. Why? They beat four ranked teams at the time that they played them. They beat a top 12 or 14 team by 30 in the Carrier Dome. And then people want to say, oh, they shouldn't have the right to play for a national title because they're not in a conference. Every game is a playoff game for Notre Dame. They can't lose a conference game or a non-conference game and have the right to play for a national title. Alabama loses a game to Texas A&M and Johnny Manziel. What do? Win the SEC. But let's forget. Yeah, Texas A&M was fine and dandy. They were undefeated when they beat Alabama. They then lost 3 games to teams with probably records under 500. But Alabama, what'd they do? They did the rest of their job. They got up off the mat. They won the SEC. They probably won the national title that year. So you mean to tell me that because they don't play in a conference, they should lose their right to play for a national title? But you can lose a conference game, win your conference tournament, and you deserve the right to play for a national title? Maybe we should flip the switch here. Maybe the fact of the matter is Notre Dame can schedule whom they want, whenever they want. Yes, they have an allegiance to the ACC, but if you're Notre Dame and you can do your job, and you can go 11, you can go 12, sometimes 13-0, what's stopping them from doing the UCF mantra if you leave them out? It leads to a whole nother bag of worms. 10 years ago, we talked about the fact that the BCS got it wrong too much and we needed to fix it. In 2019, 2018, the BCS would have got it right. The two best teams in football are playing in a week for a national title. Alabama-Clemson has been the game that everybody's wanted since last year. They're getting it. The two best teams in college football are going to stand toe-to-toe and play for a national title. I don't care if you took 8 teams. I don't care if you took 16 teams. The fact of the matter is these two teams have been on a collision course since February. And guess what? We're getting it. They're playing for the national title. Both of these teams deserve it. To say Notre Dame deserves to be left out because those kids, those 45 student athletes that did their, quote, jobs, the reason why they get scholarships, the thing that everyone goes, oh, we can't pay them because we're paying for their education. But then you want to take away the thing that you're giving them their education to play for. It's a contradiction. And the fact that Notre Dame sat there, ran the table, did their jobs, and you want to take it away from those 45 student athletes is a shame. Brian Kelly and that Notre Dame coaching staff deserve the right to be a top 4 team. They did their job. They got those student athletes ready to go. They had their grades ready. They had their game plan ready. Clemson is just that much better. The best teams of the 2000s are the 2010 through 2018 Clemson Tigers and the 2010 to 2018 Alabama Crimson Tide. Stop sitting here and questioning who should have been 3, who should have been 4, who should have been 8, who should have been 9. It didn't matter. It didn't matter which teams you put in front of the 2 that played and won last night. They were beating them. Ohio State lost by 20 to Purdue. Nobody was beating Purdue on that night with Tyler Trent in the stadium predicting an Ohio State loss. Nobody was beating that Purdue team that night. Alabama would have lost to that Purdue team that night. That game was a perfect moment. Clemson had tough games all year. So to question the fact that Notre Dame only beat Vanderbilt by 5, they did their job. They earned the right to play for a national title. Just because they lost to a superior team by 27 points, you can't take that away from them now. And what are your alternatives? Ohio State? 2-loss Georgia? 3-loss Washington that won the Pac-12? Or undefeated UCF without Mackenzie Milton? I'm good. They got it right. You want to take 8 teams and you want to do an 8-team playoff? 90% of the time we're going to get to the exact same game we're getting at right now. Less wear and tear on the student athletes that aren't getting paid for this. They're getting an education for this. And you're definitely not taking any games out of the regular season to expand this playoff. So you're going to ask them to play more games in between more days with less rest and potentially harm these children and harm these kids from potentially making a living for themselves by what happens if Tua goes out there, has to play the 8th seed Washington, wins that game, has to come back and play the 4 seed Oklahoma a week and a half later, and breaks his foot even worse, and his career's over. Let's backtrack to the SEC title game. Tua gets hurt. Yes, they have a month off from the time the SEC title game was played until the college football playoff started. Tua's not playing in the first 2 or 3 games that Oklahoma plays. The guy who finished second in the Heisman Trophy will have to sit out the 1-8 game and probably the 1-4 game. So Tua is going to miss 2 games, or you can get it right. You can have the best athletes on the field, and you can play for the national title. 5 years ago, 7 years ago, a 4-team playoff would have worked because there were 4 teams, 3 of them undefeated, and a 1-loss team that won their conference. That's a debate. That 4-teamer would have worked out perfectly, but no, we got 2 teams playing for a national title because of a computer. We fixed the computer, and you still want to complain. They got it right. Stop looking at the end result. Stop being blinded by a 27-point deficit. The fact of the matter is at the end of the day, the committee got it right. Again, I'm not looking for a debate. I'm telling you what my opinion is. And a lot of people will agree and a lot will disagree. But to flat out say Notre Dame doesn't deserve the right to play for a national title because they don't want to sit there and put themselves in a conference is kind of asinine. Pretty ridiculous and outright wrong. Those kids deserve the right to play for a national title if they can win their way in, which is exactly what they did. They won their way into a 4-team playoff. I am someone who has been adamant about an 8-team playoff. It wouldn't have mattered. Alabama-Clemson was the national title game back in February. It didn't matter which teams you put in front of them. It did not matter what happened injury-wise. Those were the 2 best teams in college football. And they're back. And they're going to keep coming back. Because we keep forgetting the fact Clemson's starting quarterback's a freshman. Tua's a sophomore. Wow. So the 2 best teams in college football are going to keep their leader and a base of their offense going into next year. Alabama last night, and I'm going to say this, the fact that Oklahoma shot themselves in the foot on their first 3 drives cost them the football game. You cannot get into a 21-0 deficit to Alabama. You can't do it. Most teams, down 21-0 midway through the second quarter, are packing it in. Alabama cruises 45-3. Why is Oklahoma in there? Why can't we put Georgia in? Why can't we put Ohio State in? Why can't we put so-and-so in? Kyler Murray played last night like it's the last football game he's ever going to play in his life. To an extent, the winner of the 2018 Heisman Trophy very well may have played his final NCAA and possibly final football game of his life. And the raw emotions that Kyler Murray showed at the end of the game, there's nothing to question the kid, nothing to, say that they didn't deserve that. They clawed back in that football game last night. And I give all the credit in the world to Oklahoma and that coaching staff to keep those kids up for that game, knowing that they got to a 21-0 hole early. Early. Went for it on fourth down on their third drive, got stopped. Tip of the cap that they got that game to 11. Tip of the cap that they kept that. They made Alabama go down the field and score. And the fact of the matter is, they outgained them by almost 200 yards in the third quarter. If the gunner for Oklahoma is 2.5 yards further back, they recover that onside kick, they go down and score, we got a 3-point game. The fact of the matter is, maybe we should be talking about how good of a game Oklahoma played and how perfect of a game Nick Saban and Alabama played. I think you guys are understanding what my thought process is here. Why are we questioning who Alabama and Clemson played? They played the other two best teams, and they beat them. Point blank. So now, we get ready. Tua versus Lawrence. Saban, Dabo. Clemson, Alabama. We didn't need a playoff to get here. The computers would have been right. You want to expand to 8, expand to 8, but you're not going to expand to 8 and get a difference in this national title game. You want to say determine it on the field? Alabama did. They ran the course, including beating Georgia in the SEC title game. Oh, but Georgia almost won. Tua didn't play half that game. And the half that he did play, he was playing extremely injured. So you want a 2-loss Georgia team in there that lost to Jalen Hurns. I'm good. You really want 3-loss Washington going into Alabama in a 1-8 game? They lose by 50. We got here. Now everyone just sit back and enjoy it. Because the two dynasties of the 2000s are going to play for a national title. I'm looking forward to it. When it's all said and done, give me Clemson 35-31. Now that my college football rant is over, I'm going to wrap this episode up with a couple of parting, because I probably will not have another podcast up until New Year's Day, which will be my 2018 Sports Tank year in review, where I go over some good things that happened to me sports wise, some bad things, so some 2019 goals and predictions, and some we're going to talk about stuff I have planned already. But what I'm going to leave you guys with today is anyone who's put in a pair of headphones and listened to a short, dorky kid from Woodbridge, Virginia, by way of South Carolina and now South Florida, anyone who's put a pair of headphones in to listen to me talk this year, I'm forever greatly appreciative. That you guys let me come into your homes, your phones, your listening devices, whatever you use to listen to podcasts, and you let me talk. And I'm forever indebted to all of you for that. So I say thank you. 2019's been a really good year for me. I had my son, 2018, had my kid in 2017, but I got to watch my son grow up. He's now, a year. I got to watch my daughter get even bigger. Went through experiences that, people say you're never really ready for until, it happens to you. And they're absolutely right. And I went through that a lot this year. And I've always had this to fall back on. And I've always had you guys to listen. And for that, I say thank you. Also, I say thank you to Ernest for giving me the ability to record this on his network. Again, Ernest, I say thank you for that. It's been a fun ride. I've had numerous guests, including my good friend Joe Lopez, who we've started a show that we're trying to get off the ground. Ran into a couple problems. Expect 2019 to be a big year for that. But other than that, I'm going to leave you with these parting notes. Whatever you did in 2018, don't let that be the peak year of your life. Strive to be better. And you don't have to be better financially. You don't have to be better any other way except for being a better human being. Help each other. Do the right thing. Be a role model. Love each other. Stop turning your back on your fellow man. Be supportive. Love each other. Show the world why the United States of America is the best country in the world. Whether Donald Trump's the president, Barack Obama's the president, or I'm the president. Love each other. Don't let the man tear you down. Love, live, be happy, and most of all, smile. Because a small smile could make somebody's day that much different. I love you all. I will see you all in 2019. Now, I have a baseball game to go win. So I'm going to have to ask you all to leave the sports tank so I can go get a W. Until then, I am the Squid. I will see you guys in 2019.